Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So today we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, verse 13. Ataiva Purnakaha Urdhva Bahuhan.
Ateva Punakaho Tavahuhan.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chadiya.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chariya.
Ataiva Punakaho Tavahuhan.
Ateva Punakaho Tavahuhan.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chadiya.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chariya.
Ataiva Punakaho Urdhva Bahuhan.
Ataiva Punakaho Tavahuhan.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chadiya.
Chaitanya Nityananda Bhaja Kutarka Chariya.
Word for word. Ataiva.
Ataiva.
Therefore.
Therefore.
Punaha.
Punaha.
Again.
Again.
Kahu.
Kaho.
I speak.
I speak.
Urdhva.
Urdhva.
Lifting.
Lifting.
Bahu.
Bahu.
Arms.
Arms.
Hana.
Hana.
So doing.
So doing.
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya.
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Nityananda.
Nityananda.
Lord Nityananda.
Lord Nityananda.
Bhaja.
Bhaja.
Worship.
Worship.
Kutarka.
Kutarka.
Useless.
Useless.
Arguments.
Arguments.
Chariya.
Chariya.
Giving up.
Giving up.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Therefore, I say again, lifting my arms, O fellow human beings, please worship Sri Chaitanya Nityananda without false arguments. Purport by Srila Prabhupada is very short. Because a person who performs Krishna Bhakti but does not understand Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda will simply waste his time. The author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, requests everyone to take to the worship of Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu and the Panchatattva. He assures everyone that any person who does so will be successful in Krishna consciousness. End of purport. The verse again. Therefore I say again, lifting my arms, O fellow human beings, please worship Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda without false arguments. So we are continuing. This is the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is establishing who is the Supreme Personality, that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And he appeared, so now he's giving his recommendation. And he has spoken a few verses, showing from the Shastras where it was mentioned that he will come, how he will appear, where he will appear, what will be his pastimes, etc., etc. And now he's saying, therefore I say again, that lifting up your arms, worship Lord Chaitanya. And this is a very interesting point. The Prabhupada says, because even if you engage in Krishna Bhakti, but you don't worship Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada says, it is simply a waste of time. So it's a very strong statement. This is in the purport. Because a person who performs Krishna Bhakti but does not understand Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda will simply waste his time. This is the first line of the purport. So we understand there's different lines of Vaishnavas, and we come in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. So some Vaishnava Sampradayas accept Lord Chaitanya, some don't. And we have to take it from Srila Prabhupada's words and from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's words, that if they do not accept Lord Chaitanya, even their worship of Krishna is a waste of time. Why? Because we can only understand Krishna through Lord Chaitanya. Lord Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya in this age of Kali to give the process to follow and to show us how, give us the process to follow in this Kali Yuga. So without following the process correctly, like sometimes the example is given that you go to a doctor and he prescribes a medicine, but you also have to follow the method of how to take that medicine. So you might be engaged in Krishna Bhakti, but if you're not following the instructions of Lord Chaitanya, or you're not accepting Lord Chaitanya, then it's a waste of time. It's a heavy statement. It's not, but Srila Prabhupada was like this. He spoke as it was, and he very much encouraged us to do. Of course, we have to be careful to understand these things properly before saying them. We cannot just repeat. Prabhupada is Prabhupada, and we accept everything he says. But we have to realize what he said first before being so bold and speaking boldly. Because we might not be able to transmit the message properly. If we haven't digested it and we haven't realized it, we will not be able. We should never compromise, of course. And we should never try to change what Prabhupada meant. We accept everything Prabhupada said as the absolute truth, but we have to understand it first. There are many examples of this. Sometimes Prabhupada in his purports, he uses very strong words, speaking about women, or sometimes even speaking about black people, or sometimes speaking about, and I was in Italy recently. There was a meeting, and the devotees were discussing about how to speak about these things when we're preaching. Because sometimes, taken out of context, it can sound very strong. It can be even misunderstood as racist or sexist or so many ists nowadays. And actually there was an Italian doctor who came over. He has been studying different religions during the years, and he says in all religions there is problematic statements in their scriptures. And he was saying different religions have tried to deal with it in different ways. Some of them have edited it, they've directly taken it out from their scriptures. Some of them have said no, but when he says this, it means they've tried to, but this always comes to bite you at the end, because it clearly says one thing. Even if you try to if you try to change it a little bit, say no, when he meant black people, he meant Shudras. But then again, we will have to deal with why Shudras. So it's not wise to try to so their opinion was to say that actually in Prabhupada's case it's simpler, because we can see that yes, he had very strong statements about women or about black people, or about Shudras, or about Karmis, or Mayavadis. But in his day-to-day dealing, Prabhupada was very loving. Prabhupada had many women disciples, and he treated them very lovingly, very respectfully. And he was very kind. He had also some black disciples, and he very much loved them and engaged them in service without any discrimination. So we can say, yes, this is what he said in his books, but then he applied it this way. Therefore, we still might not be able to understand exactly why he wrote this. We don't know what was Prabhupada meditating at the time when he wrote these words. But we can apply it, we can see how he himself treated these devotees, or even non-devotees. Prabhupada was always very cordial, very respectful, very loving whenever somebody came to visit him. and he encouraged all his disciples to be very kind to everyone, and so like that. So today we see this statement, and we know this. This is to establish the importance of Lord Chaitanya. This statement that without accepting Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, even Krishna Bhakti is a waste of time. But that doesn't mean that we should, if we come across somebody who doesn't accept Lord Chaitanya, that we should tell him, you're simply wasting your time. He might not be ready to hear that. We should encourage them. We should preach to them the glories of Lord Chaitanya. But we should not be, I think we are not empowered enough to be bold enough to tell them something like this and them being able to accept. It takes a certain purity. When Srila Prabhupada, when a pure devotee chastises you, he will cut through your false ego, and he gives you the mercy by which you can accept what he's saying at the same time. But if we chastise somebody and we're not pure, we might discourage them from following Krishna consciousness. And unfortunately, we see that sometimes happens in our movement. Sometimes there's devotees in managerial positions, or sometimes not even managerial positions, but they might chastise somebody, and it might go a little bit out of hand. And sometimes those devotees feel very discouraged, and they leave devotee association, usually for some time, or sometimes not. They just go to another temple. Anyway, this is not very nice. This is not the purpose of our society. And we see also Prabhupada in the beginning, when he started his movement in New York, he was very, very encouraging to his disciples, and actually he gave the first initiation, and the devotees didn't even know what the four regulative principles were. The next day after the initiation, on the notice board there was a little notice. All initiated devotees are expected to follow these four regulative principles and are expected to chant 64 rounds every day. And I think it was 12 devotees who got initiated at that time. I think most of them have passed away. I think Umapati Swami is still around, Mukunda Maharaj, Umapati Swami, and I don't know who else, but I think most of them have already passed away from that first initiation. And they're saying that Prabhupada told them, slowly started giving them more rules to follow. And one of such rules was not to eat anything cooked by non-devotees. And next, near the temple, there was a donut shop. And the devotees very much like to go eat donuts there. So sometimes when Prabhupada would walk by, they would all hide behind the counter. Anyway, but still then, Prabhupada encouraged them very much. There's also the very beautiful story of when Shyamasundar Prabhu was carving the first deities of Jagannath. Prabhupada went to see how the carving was going on. And at that time, Prabhu was still smoking. He had forgotten his packet of cigarette on the head of Jagannath. And Prabhupada saw it. He could have said something. He did say something, but he said something very softly. He said, "Such a small thing keeping us from Krishna." Pointing to the size of the of the packet, such a small thing. So anyway, we see that, yes, in his books sometimes he puts out these bold statements, and even sometimes in his lectures we hear Prabhupada being very bold and saying somewhat shocking things. But then we also see that in his personal dealings with devotees, how encouraging and soft, and you could perceive that he really loved you. So even if he was chastising you, you could accept it, because you know that. So we have to understand it's more difficult for us who have not had the good fortune of his personal association. But we have the good fortune of having association with devotees who have had his association. And they can convey this to us. They can convey Prabhupada's personal dealings, how soft. And it is our responsibility to pass this on to the next generation. Because some of these things are not, there's this, it's called untangible patrimony. It's recognized in the world today. There's the patrimoine. Shishirada Parashishvaraki, Jagannath Paradeswara Deviki, Nitai Sachisutaki. There's something called the heritage, the world cultural heritage. And there are many associations in the world who take care of preserving it. And there's like monuments. So these are tangible, like these are artifacts. And then there is intangible, which is maybe some recipes or some languages or some customs or sayings. So similarly, in our movement we have this cultural richness, and most of it is written in the books. We have our philosophy, we have our Siddhanta, we have our everything that's based on. But then we have this untangible, unwritten, that we have to take care to preserve. Because the years are going by and we do not like to think about it, but the reality is that one day there will be no more Srila Prabhupada disciples left with us. So we have to be able to learn from them this mood and dedication, which cannot really be described in words. You know, like I remember for the 50th anniversary we had a nice festival and we went on the beautiful Harinam. So we had a very long day, you know, Mangalarti, everything. Then we went on this long Harinam and we were walking for a few hours, and I remember I was feeling very tired, my feet were aching, and we were just walking back from the station here. And suddenly, out of the blue, Jagananda Maharaj was still standing on the street. And he said, "Oh, I still have a few books I want to distribute." And I thought, wow, you know, like, I am tired. My feet are aching. I can only think of going to bed. And Maharaj, at his age, he still has the enthusiasm. He said, no, I still want to distribute these few books. So these are things that we need to learn from association with devotees. We cannot really learn this by reading books, or even if we write down this story, I know it will not impact me as much as when I saw him standing on the street. It was dark, you know, he was just standing there, and there were very few people in the street, so it probably took him a while to because not everybody takes a book, you know, so he has to stop a few people until somebody takes a book. And like that, there's so many devotees we can see who gave up everything in their lives and dedicated to the movement in so many different ways. You know, we have, of course, sannyasis, some brahmacharis, some dedicated their life to studying the books, some dedicated their lives to educating children, some dedicated their lives. Everybody found a way that they were completely driven and motivated to follow, to please Srila Prabhupada. So we have to really take advantage of this and try and associate with these devotees who have been going so strongly for so many years, and try to imbibe their enthusiasm and understand what it is that sparked this fire that has kept going in their heart all their life. Yeah, this is our, I think, as this generation, the in-between generation, this is our great responsibility. So we can pass this on to the future generations. So I think I will read the next verse because there is no purport. It's just a translation. The next verse is a long purport, so we can leave it for next week. And then I think I will open up for questions because, yeah. Yadiva tarkika kohe tarko se praman tarko shasta siddhaye se sityaman. Logicians say, unless one gains understanding through logic and argument, how can one decide upon a worshipable deity? So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur posing a question or a problem. Like he's trying to establish why we should worship Lord Chaitanya. And now he's saying logicians will say, where's the proof in the where's the logic and the proof that we must worship Lord Chaitanya? And so then he will answer in the future, in the coming verses. I don't want to start, but this is usually how our scriptures are done. Like first they make a statement, and then this is also how theses are written. You first have your argument, and then you bring up questions or arguments against this statement, and then you have to defeat those arguments and establish what you're saying. So this is very much what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is doing, and then he will start narrating the pastimes. So first he establishes that Lord Chaitanya is the Kali Yuga avatar, and then he will narrate the story of how he appears, where he appears, and etc. etc. So I will end here. If anybody has any questions, comments, corrections, arguments, complaints, please.
Explaining this fact that we cannot understand Krishna without Lord Chaitanya. Even it say that if we worship Krishna without passing through Lord Chaitanya, we are considered atheist. Demon.
Yes. It's just...
we had some explanation, but we can just connect to what Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita when he say Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyash Tasmin Tatvata. That's the only way to know him is through bhakti, and the process to have bhakti is given by Krishna himself in the form of Lord Chaitanya.
It is described that when Krishna... There's many reasons as to why Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya. One of them is to understand himself. He wants to understand why my devotees love me so much. What is so attractive about me? So he himself doesn't understand. So he comes as Lord Chaitanya. But there's also another. This is a commentary by the Acharya. I'm really sorry to say this and not be able to give the source, but Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna was thinking about this. I have said, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyascha Tasmitatpata. I have given this statement that you can only know me as I am through bhakti. But now I have to show them how to execute this bhakti. What is this bhakti process I'm talking about? So this is also one of the reasons why he came as Lord Chaitanya, to teach everybody this process of bhakti. And yes, we saw, like, if you don't accept Lord Chaitanya, we're demons.
Yeah, there was only mental speculation. It's not from the heart, it's not bhakti. So one question we can ask okay, we accept Lord Chaitanya, but just because it's good when we preach to have some argument, so I will play the role of atheist and demon. Is it possible to have bhakti without Lord Chaitanya? Is it possible to have love and devotion toward God without the mercy of Lord Chaitanya? And I asking this because we see in some Christians, for example, who had real love for God. I mean, they are even ecstatic symptom of love and renouncement, knowledge. So
even before Kali Yuga also,
yeah,
they are pure devotees.
Yes.
And even outside Gaudiya Sampradaya also we say that they are
Yes.
pure devotees.
Yes. Yes. So, when talking about different religions, yes, there can be love of God, but it can only be within their understanding. We're talking about, let's say, Catholics. Although there is a beautiful story of a saint in Spain who had darshan of Krishna. There's Santa Teresa de Avila. Avila, Santa Teresa de Avila.
Oh.
Anyway, she was walking around in her garden, and she describes a very beautiful scene where this very dark, handsome person appeared, and he was surrounded of beautiful young women, and she could hear that the young women were singing and glorifying him, and there was a very beautiful music and a beautiful smell. Anyway, it's all written down, and everybody kind of agrees that she saw Krishna and the gopis. So this is very rare. This can happen sometimes due to some agyata sukriti, or if somebody is really very, very sincere, Krishna can, give them a glimpse. And by doing so, he will awaken this desire to see him again. Because he gives you a short glimpse, and then you like drug addicts. Sorry to give such a bad example, but they chase their whole life that first high. So the first time you get some sweetness from Krishna, then your whole life you want it again. You want to see it. So yeah, this is a bad example, but it's so we can understand a little bit. So yes, in different religions they can have love of God to what their limit is, and then they can get perfection there, and then they will be taught to continue from there. Prabhupada gave that example. He said, if you're a good Christian, you follow everything. Prabhupada was very heavy on the fact that thou shalt not kill, but Christians are killing. So Prabhupada was saying, you're not following this commandment. But anyway, if they follow everything properly, and they can develop love of God, and they will be reunited with their Lord Jesus Christ, and he will give them the process to continue. So it's a gradual process. In our Sampradaya, Vaishnava Sampradaya, Prabhupada is quite straight about it. He said, if you do not accept and worship Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, even your Krishna Bhakti is a waste of time. How do we explain this? It's difficult. Because we might, like you say, we have some pure devotees also. Sometimes we see. So personally, I don't feel very qualified to say it. I can only say that apparently it seems so, and we cannot. I'm not qualified to say, even if it appears so, it is not. But at the same time, based on what Prabhupada said today, I have to say that if they do not recognize, usually if they do not know about Lord Chaitanya is a different thing, because some people might have never heard about Lord Chaitanya. I think the point here is people who have heard about Lord Chaitanya and still don't accept him. I think this is what I think this refers to, because there might be some devotees who never came across or never heard about Lord Chaitanya, but they follow their process of bhakti, and they are very elevated. So they will reach the point when they will know about Lord Chaitanya. I don't know if this satisfies your little bit. But yeah, Prabhupada is not chewing his words. It's
It's just that it can be difficult in some situation when you are in front of someone who is really sincere following his sampradaya,
mm-hmm.
and he said he can say you, but you said him that Lord Chaitanya is a yoga avatar and we should pass through the yoga avatar. But he can also say you, but I feel some love by following, I don't know, Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, I mean, it can be difficult situation where I think we should not discourage, like Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, we should not discourage people in their advancement. We should say them, but if you see that their ego cannot accept, we should encourage them to follow what they follow.
Yes.
And say, and like you say, maybe by following what they follow, the heart will be softened and they will at one point accept Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, so. Yes. I think it's a gradual process, and if they follow their faith properly, they will. Yes, there's also, like you mentioned about Ramanujacharya and the different sampradayas. Lord Chaitanya, he took something from each sampradaya and he created his own sampradaya. And we can see this in many ways, but it is much easier to preach to someone when you have one common point. You know, if you're having a conversation with someone and you don't agree with anything, then it's pretty much lost from the beginning. But if you know, because not all of these sampradayas accept Lord Chaitanya, but if you can have like a debate with them, starting from a point that we accept, then it's easier to dialogue. So
this is what Lord Chaitanya did, and this is what Prabhupada did, and this is what we should do by following them. This is one point that I often say to other religious people is that I accept the message of Bible, I accept Christ, I accept Muhammad for the Muslim, but you don't accept what I have to share. So it means you are close to, you are fear about a knowledge. But we are not fear because this is true what Muhammad says. We accept this, your love of God. Even sometimes I say, yes, I'm Muhammad, I'm a Muslim, or yes, I'm a Christian, I say that because I believe in Christ, I believe in Muhammad. But you cannot accept this knowledge. So it shows that the ego is strong and they don't, they need some purification to accept God.
In your case it's different because you go out on the street every day. You're like frontline soldiers. So every day you're confronted with these things. And but yeah, I think the easiest way to do it is to have some common points we can agree on. God is the greatest. God is, you know, or something that they will accept, and you say, yes. And then you can, that's a very nice tactic, you say, but you're not open to, I am accepting everything. Like, please accept something from me. You know, but yeah, it's difficult.
It's painful. I mean, it's painful because you see some sincerity in the person, and you see that in their sincerity they become close. So this is what we call a sect, actually. Something or like a dog, where you accept and you cannot accept something else. And this is painful for me sometimes. And I just pray for them.
There's an interesting anecdote where somebody, I think when Prabhupada was being interviewed by a media, and they told him, Swamiji, you are so narrow-minded. And Prabhupada's eyes went bright. Narrow-minded, me? So anyway, yeah, I think it depends on the point of view. Of course, we know that Prabhupada was not narrow-minded at all. He was very broad, and he did so many changes that some of his god brothers frowned upon, and even today, like, some people don't understand. So in that sense, Prabhupada was extremely broad-minded. But he talking to this materialistic media person, it seemed to him that, oh my God, this Swami thinks, So anyway, yes. But anyway, I think it's very, very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada that, we go out on the streets every day. It takes a lot of determination and courage, and also compassion that every day you go out and then you have to deal with these feelings of, not being able to convincing somebody to take the book, or having been defeated. Because you're not really defeated, but you couldn't convince him to take a book. So it feels like a defeat, oh, I wasn't. It's very, very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada to see his devotees doing that. And I heard this from ISKCON Prabhu. He's a very Sankirtan person. If you cannot give them a book, leave them with a sweet taste.
This is one that's true.
And they can appreciate, oh, I met a person who was a Hare Krishna and he was very nice. That is the beginning of their spiritual life. Just appreciating. Sometimes it can be something very simple. Something can be that they dress very nicely. I said, oh, they dress nicely. Or, oh, they smell good. But just that initial appreciation of a devotee, because you are a devotee in front of them. You might not think of yourself as a devotee, but to them, you represent Lord Chaitanya.
I have one story about this during the marathon. I was in Chatelier distributing books, and I was trying to do more Arabic book for the points. And I tried to distribute to some Muslim, but I always try to keep kind. And he was a little bit strong and not very kind with me. He was not insulting me, but what are you saying? Not to give me this book. And I didn't say anything. I said, okay, sorry. Sometimes I say in Arabic, I say La ilaha illallah, to say, okay, of God there is only Allah. And thank you for your kindness. The next day, he came to me and he said, I'm sorry, I was not good with you. Please forgive me. So I was, okay, so it's really important.
Yes. And this is, whether he doesn't know it, but this is the beginning of his Krishna consciousness. That he was, something pushed him to come and say, I'm sorry. And he will remember this somehow for the rest of his life. And who knows, maybe on his deathbed, he will think of this moment. And Krishna is extremely merciful, So this is our, we have a very, we carry a big bag on our shoulders, because we represent Krishna to the outside world, Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada. So we have to be exemplary. It's not easy, but we should start with every little thing. Say thank you, be kind, don't push in the queue, always buy your tickets in the train, like little things, and then people are watching and they can appreciate. Yeah.
It can be painful beginning because you want a result now, but now I see with time that actually the result take a very long time to appear. Yesterday I met one person from Lyon that we gave him a book when we was in Lyon 1 or 2 years ago. He read Bhagavad Gita fully and he said, this book is amazing, it will change my life forever. And So Krishna, after some time, give you some sweet test like this, and this sweet test make you not become angry when someone is really strong with you. It's no problem. You keep this sweetness with you because, but we have to pass through the hostility to a beginning of that only the harsh word of people, because you have to give your blood, like Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, you have to give your blood, and by giving your blood, one day Krishna will reciprocate by send you these people that you gave them your books, and this will soft your heart, and after whatever harsh word come to you, your heart stays sweet, because you got the sweet nectar of these people coming and saying, this book is amazing.
No, Prabhupada said his books are ticking time bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, even if the person you gave the book to, just simply by the fact, Prabhupada said, simply by the fact that they touch the book, it's already something very special. Because, you know, we say Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is Krishna himself, you know, so just the fact that they hold it in their hand is already a big thing. And then because they gave a small donation, this was Prabhupada's genius. If they give a small donation for it, they'll be like, oh, I gave 10 euros for it. I cannot just leave it on the seat in the they'll take it home. And they might never look at it again. My husband actually, he was in Argentina, a teenager. And from his very young, tender age, he was interested in Buddhism and meditation. So there's pictures of him as young as 7 years old. He already shaved his head and he would sit and meditate. He didn't really have anybody teach him to do that, but he knew that, you know, he had to sit down and do Om, I don't know.
So many of
Anyway, his family used to tease him, and when he grew a little older, because they were Christians, you know, he had a fight with his mother because he wanted to buy a statue of Buddha. And she was quoting scripture to him, you know, you shall not worship images. And he was, of course, he didn't have any arguments, but he was trying to argue with her that this was not an image, this was Buddha. Anyway. But a few years later, he was in a party. And in Argentina, they start drinking very young. As soon as maybe 14, 15. Before, it's like a thing when you finish high school, they all go on a trip and they all get drunk. And so he was in this party and he was drunk, and suddenly he started feeling very embarrassed. That look at me, what I'm doing with my life. And he sat down on the sofa. Everybody was dancing and, you know, enjoying somewhat. And he started feeling so embarrassed, like, you know. So he sat down and said, oh my God, now I have to call my father to pick me up. And look in what state I am. And he sat on the sofa in front, there were books. And he saw one book that stood out, and it was the Bhagavad Gita. And it changed his life, yes. So the person who bought that book never read it, but because she had paid something for it and it was a beautiful looking book, she just put it as a showpiece in her shelves, you know, and he saw it and he picked it up and he became vegetarian the next day. And like that, like but like we say, Prabhupada said, these are ticking time bombs. So you know, you don't know. Like maybe the person who just takes the book will not read it. And Prabhupada said he might not, but someone else might. And in my case, there's this story of my husband. And it took him a few years after until he. But anyway, the story goes that he started chanting and he became a Rastafari.
So he became
A Rastafari. So they're Christians. I don't know, it's a bit complicated. They have these big dreadlocks, and anyway, they're vegetarian. But he was also chanting Hare Krishna.
Okay.
So it's but then he moved to university, and some devotees had a university program, and he immediately joined. Like as soon as he met them, he left the university and he went to the temple. So yeah, like we said, you never know. You never know who is gonna pick up the book and read it. And you say sometimes, like you have a very beautiful story. They come and they say, "This book changed my life forever." Yes, you never know. Okay, Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, book distribution ki jai, Sankirtan movement ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.